Okay, I believe we're live. So welcome to Tamarah's Closet today. I'm really excited. I have a very special guest with me, and I'm thrilled to have. He's such a vibrant and creative soul, and whose art is extraordinary and very colorful. And anybody that knows me knows how much I love color. So his work is very unique, and he's risen to become a world-renowned contemporary artist. He's also very inspirational to me as he found his career as an artist a little bit later in life. And I can relate to that, finding my passions later in life, kind of proving that it's never too late to pursue your dreams. His art career began in 1972 when he graduated with a degree in painting from the University of Mississippi. He worked 25 years as a very successful fashion photographer and was too busy to paint. But at 50 years old, he sold his business, and the rest is a beautiful story, rising to the top very quickly as one of the world's foremost contemporary artists. So I'm honored to be here with him today. So give a warm welcome to artist Ford Smith for joining me from Roswell, Georgia. Can you still see and hear me good, Ford?
Oh, yes, I can. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, great. Okay. I want to start right in kind of in your childhood. Do you remember, a lot of kids say, I want to be a fireman or whatever when they grow up. Do you remember what you claimed you wanted to be when you grew up?
Not vividly, but I'm fairly sure. My dad was in the military, so I'm sure that I looked up to him and what he was doing. I may have had aspirations back then to go into the military, or when he first started, he was an MP, a military police. So, might have been thinking about being a policeman back then.
Oh,
Didn't last long.
Were you a creative child, and what did you do? Were there things that you did that, creative things that you did? I'm sure you spent a lot of time outdoors because.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in those days, all the kids were outdoors. Exactly. Yeah. 6 kids. We had a family of 6.
Wow.
So, my mother made us go outdoors quite a bit.
Yeah. Well,
as far as being creative as a child, I'm certain that I probably doodled and did the things most children did as far as art was concerned. But it wasn't until I was 12 years old that I think my mother noticed that I could draw and that I was interested in doing cartoons and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's interesting. So you mostly did like cartoonish like figures, or did you do anything?
A lot of kids try to imitate the cartoons they liked, and at one point I was 12 years old, and my sister was a little bit older than I was, and she had a Japanese boy that lived off base. This is when we lived in northern Japan, and this boy would come around with a sketch pad, and he would show my sister these drawings of trees that he would do. And naturally, being the younger brat that I was, I was spying on him and looking at what he was doing, and I started drawing the same sort of trees that he was drawing and trying to imitate his style. And then, of course, I was affected by the cartoons of our day, like Ratfink and Big Daddy Ed Roth and all those hot rod type cartoons and Mad Magazine. And at one point, I started drawing Ratfinks on sweatshirts for my friends for $1 each. So I was making money there at 12 years old.
Wow, that's pretty sharp. Well, were there any other artists of any type in your family or siblings, like even singer-songwriters or anything in the art?
No, there really weren't any that I was aware of. In retrospect, when I see some of my father's photographs of the family, I realized later that he had quite an eye for composition. So in spite of the fact that my mother was Italian, and you would think that that would be the thread for the art, it may have actually come through my father, who was from Alabama, and a very unlikely place to probably get kind of inspiration for art. But I mean, everybody in my family is artistic in some form or another. And we're all musical. We all like to sing. So there is, and my mother was obviously, being Italian, very fond of opera. She played Italian music all the time in the house. And we lived in Italy for about 4 years when I was about, grade school. And we rode all over Italy together in the big microbus. And we saw museums and all the art that Italy has to offer. So that's probably a very early influence on my appreciation for art.
Yeah, did your parents, was there a lot of art in your home growing up? Did your mom collect art at all? Or?
No, she couldn't afford to collect art. she was too busy collecting kids. No, I don't remember there being an inordinate amount of art. I'm sure we had a few things, but I would not say that they were art collecting couple or family.
Yeah. Well, when you were young, do you remember what your favorite thing to do when you would go play? Like, I played in the woods a lot by a creek.
Well, we did, when we lived in Italy, we were at the foot of the Alps. And so we did go out hiking in the foothills of the Alps as a young person, exposed to all the different vegetation and trees and flowers that were available in northern Italy. And then when we were in Japan, it snowed 10 months out of the year. So I didn't really get to appreciate too much nature back then. I had to kind of make it up myself. And I think that's where I get my ability to imagine nature as opposed to actually experiencing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because your art's very colorful. And I was wondering if you had an eye for color when you were young, if that was, because sometimes we develop that.
I'm sure when we were in Italy, we were exposed to color, because it is a very colorful place. And after that, when we moved to Japan, there was almost no color at all because it was all white and gray and, you know, not colorful. There was no cherry blossoms where we lived. And my original teacher, my mother, she saw me doing these cartoons and drawings of trees and everything, and she scraped together enough money to get me a lesson with a group of other Americans, mostly housewives, that went off base and took painting lessons from this old Japanese master who did not speak English, and we didn't speak Japanese. So it was really just a matter of him coming around his studio, which was cold, and in the middle of the studio was a potbelly stove that they used for heat. And then around the potbelly stove was a little incandescent light hanging from the ceiling for each person to be able to have some light to work from. And he would come around to each of us and with his own hand show us, what we were doing wrong as we were trying to paint like a still life or something like that.
Oh, that was a wonderful experience. And you said you were about 12 when you started noticing, or your mom noticed when you had talent.
I was 14 when I had those, 14 or 15. We were there for 4 years. So I was about 15 years old when I first started taking those painting lessons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had been working up to it.
Yeah. So what led you to, did you do anything else artsy in like high school or anything, or before
when I moved to the States after Japan, I somehow, or probably my mother did this again, she scraped enough money together to get me what they call correspondence course, they called them back then, for famous artists. They used to advertise in magazines, draw this and then send it in. And if it's good enough, they'll offer to sell you a subscription to their correspondence course, which I did. And somehow we came up with $600 for that course. And I did do the course for probably a year or so, where I would do drawings and send them in, and they would send them back with corrections and advice and all that kind of stuff. And then I would just buy those art books at the art store that basically would teach you how to paint different subject matters. And I would teach myself at that point.
Yeah. Now, what kind of paint were you working with at that point?
Probably, I learned to paint in oil, and probably, I don't think I switched to acrylics till I was in college. So I was probably still using oil paints back then. And I didn't switch until I went to college. And I was supposed to go. I went to college on a scholarship, but it was not for art. It was for math and science. I was a kind of a geek and most intelligent in my high school somehow.
That's wonderful.
But so I was supposed to be a scientist or a mathematician or something. And after my first calculus class as a freshman, I decided I wanted to be an artist after all, because I didn't like it. And so I went over to the art department, and that's how my art education started.
That's a really big switch, going from science. I don't even know how you did that. That's pretty amazing.
It's unusual. I mean, I liked art, but I never thought I could make a living at it. So, I figured I'd do something like engineering or something like that, typical.
Yeah. Well, that's really amazing. Because then how did you started in graphic design, I believe it said in your bio or something. And then how did you get started as the photographer? How did that happen?
When I graduated from college and moved to Atlanta, it happened to be a real sort of a recession time, and jobs were hard to come by. And I had enough graphic design classes that I kind of knew a little bit about graphic design and production art. And so I looked around for a job, and it took a while. I worked for a while at Underground Atlanta at night at an art gallery while I was looking for a job during the daytime so that I could support myself. And finally, I got a job at a printing company doing what they call 4-color stripping, which is nothing like art. It's real mechanical, and it's got to do with film and masking, and very boring. And from there, I moved to another company where I started to do a little graphic design. And then I moved to another company where I did even more. And so that was probably about 6 years. And during that process, I met a photographer who was doing some modeling photos of my wife at the time, my ex-wife. And so we got to know each other. And when that marriage fell apart and I moved back to Atlanta, because I'd moved to New York for misguided reasons, but nothing to do with art. But anyway, when I came back, he offered me a job as an art director in his photography studio, and he taught me how to be a photographer, and that was that. I became a partner, and then I grew the photography business from the two of us to about 25 of us, and it became a pretty big studio in the area.
That's amazing. And you said you traveled all over the world doing that, or?
Yeah, I did. We would go on location shoots quite often, doing catalogs and that sort of thing. And I did take some time off and went to Greece and worked on some fashion magazines in Greece for a while. And that was starting to become the end of my photography career, because it became less creative and more about who could do it for the cheapest amount of money. And so the creativity that I had loved when I first got into it in the 80s was quickly disappearing, and it lost its the fun factor.
Right. Yeah. I know that 70s and 80s were such a wonderful time
They were.
in that world. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
A lot of creative freedom. Yeah.
yeah, it really was. What did you love most about being a photographer, a fashion photographer?
Well, the girls were very pretty.
Yeah.
But it was also challenging. I also did corporate photography, and
Yeah.
so I shot CEOs and I shot celebrities, and so it was always interesting. Interesting challenges to create. Advertising photography that worked to help sell the product. And, I had some big clients like Coca-Cola was a big client of mine, and Home Depot was a client of mine, Walmart. So we had some pretty big national clients, international, I guess.
Yeah. You did. You
Yeah.
did. Did you do throughout that? Did you do any painting at all in your time off, or?
There were a couple of times where I would dabble in it, just to see if I could still do it, because I hadn't done it in so long. And so I would just play around with it a little bit, but I never did anything seriously until I really made a commitment to leave photography altogether, and just go 100% into art and painting.
Right. And I know you somewhere, it might have been in a video that your wife made of you that I saw on your website, but you mentioned about, like, what would you say photography taught you the most about and helped you in your career as a contemporary artist? Because I'm sure it did.
It did. It taught me a lot about lighting, because a lot of times back in those days, before Photoshop and before, all the technology that we have today, we sometimes, because of a lower budget, we would have to create outdoor environments in the studio. And so we had to understand how light works in nature, and how it bounces off of things and how it changes colors in different situations. And so that really was a lesson in really getting into the finite physics of how light works. And I think that's helped me to create the paintings I paint now, because I don't paint from life and I don't paint from photographs. I paint from my imagination, and I imagine, and I can tell when light looks real and when it looks fake. And so that's helped me to create paintings that look like I either used a photograph or went out in nature and sat and painted outside, but I don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating that you can do that. I really do. That's what I like about your work, is that takes a lot of imagination.
Right.
My favorite photography is in the studio, and so few photographers here really do much in the studio, and that's where I like to be.
Right.
And to me, it's like you said, it's about light. And,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the light. Yeah. Knowing how light work, and obviously composition and all those other elements were all part of photography. But I think the most important thing that I learned was how to recreate light to make it look a certain way.
yeah, I think that's amazing that you did that. Once you sold your business, though, photography, how did you make that transition going? Because you completely walked away.
Yeah.
And then I know it said you had your first exhibition in New York City. How long a process, how did that process work?
Well, I turned 50 years old, and I was still a photographer, and I wasn't very happy with it. And I told Christy, my wife, I said, um, I wasn't put on this earth to be a photographer. I was put on this earth to be an artist, a painter. And if I don't start now, I'm going to run out of time, and I'm going to regret that I never tried to do it. So she was very supportive, and she probably thought I was only going to do it for a short period of time, like buying a Harley or something, a middle-age crisis. But I told her I was serious, and she knew I was serious when I sold my business, I sold my building, I sold everything. I told my clients I wasn't going to take another photo. It was cold turkey, and it had to be for me because I had to make a commitment. I couldn't do it part-time.
Uh-huh. I just think I can't. Do you miss the camera at all? I can't imagine not picking up my camera again.
It's not that I didn't miss the camera. I didn't miss the business of
Yeah.
of photography.
Yeah.
I still love photos and taking photos. Mostly of my family, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a people photographer. I'm not. What's weird is I'm not a landscape photographer.
Right.
I'm more of a people photographer, but my photography has evolved to be more about landscape than it does about portraiture, for instance. Or
Yeah.
people.
Well, how did you go from that paint, dropping that and to get to New York? So, because it says you were almost like an overnight success. So, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, relatively overnight.
Yeah, I
I
know.
pretty much owe all of that to Christy because she has a marketing background, corporate marketing background, and that's how we initially met. She was one of my clients when I was a photographer, but she, especially once I convinced her that she should leave her corporate job too, which was real risky, and to get behind me and promote me instead of somebody else, some corporation. Once she did that, and we were both all in, and there was a lot of risk involved, she campaigned. She made fantastic campaigns to make me appear as if I had been around for a long time, and
Oh.
and it was more important than I might have been at the time. That's great marketing.
That is.
Anyway, yeah. So she's responsible for getting us to New York and getting us publicized and making us bigger. And so we took a big risk, and we went to that art expo in New York and took a small booth, and we made quite an impact at that show. People had not seen anything like what I was doing. We signed up a bunch of galleries to start representing us all over the country. And, one thing led to another. And then all of a sudden we were just as busy as we could be.
That's really wonderful that you have her, you had that partnership and you had her to market you, because that's the hard part.
Yeah, most people don't have that, obviously. And it's very difficult for artists to market themselves and be creative at the same time. Running a business and being creative is really two things that really don't go well together.
Yeah.
And it's really fortunate that she's my partner and takes care of that end of the business and leaves me to just be creative.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a great thing. That's a great partnership right there. And because that would have been before social media, right?
Yes. Yeah. We were still buying a lot of print media and trade magazines and that sort of thing. But we knew how advertising worked, having been in the business for quite a while, and so we knew that we weren't going to get anywhere taking little quarter-page ads. We took the whole back page of the trade magazine, and and it made us stand out.
Oh,
where
yeah.
where'd that kid come from? Wouldn't
Yeah. Those big page ads they are the best for sure. This
it
is
is
a good time to show some of your work. So I'm gonna see what I can pull up here.
okay.
See if it'll let me um image file. Let's see if it's gonna let me. Oh yeah. So I'm just gonna pull up. I'll start with. Oh, I might be missing one. Well, I'll just start at the top. That way I can keep up with it.
Okay.
Okay. See if it's sharing. Okay,
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah, that's fairly recent, actually. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that's probably within the last 5 years, at least, if not. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's taking color to a new level. I mean, obviously, trees don't look like that in person.
No,
You have to use your imagination, but it actually makes it a lot more fun than just painting trees as they actually are, because then you might as well just take a photograph.
well, yeah, I know. And that, what I like is in that video, you were showing that how you did some of the trees with that. Was it a dripping method or?
Yeah, I don't know if I invented it or not, but I used it from the very beginning. I started letting the paint. I'd spray cover the canvas in paint, and then I'd spray it, and then the drips would come down vertically, and I would, pick and choose which ones would become trees and which ones wouldn't. And yeah, that was a good way to start without any preconceived idea of what it was going to be. Uh, but it's a wonderful way to start paintings. Um, I used to, even in college, I'd put paint and then I'd use, like paper towels and newspapers and wad them up and put them on the paint and then lift it off. And then it's almost like when people see things in clouds, when you do those kind of things or tea leaves and
Uh-huh.
you do that sort of thing, and it helps you to kind of uh, not be too purposeful in the art, but to let the art speak to you a little bit as it's forming. Um, it's a great method for people that get stuck. People get stuck on what they want to paint,
Yeah, yeah, they do.
and
They do.
they never move forward.
So when you did this one, were you, because the trees look so, I mean, lifelike, like you did do a photograph and then just painted from that. How
No,
did you
no,
do
it's the
you?
same sort of method. I usually work from the back forward. I'll do the background, the tree line in the back, and that sort of thing, and then I'll start working on the foreground. I'll just start putting in, tree lines or drips or use different tools to maybe carve out of the underpaint. And yeah, just as it's a real creative process. There's no purpose to it really, other than just see what happens. And because I work in acrylics now, and the paint dries so quickly that you can change your mind within minutes sometimes, and can completely go in a different direction. So that way you don't have to be afraid of putting something on the canvas.
Yeah, you talked about that in that video, and I like that idea. I can't imagine because you were saying sometimes the oil painting takes really can days or stuff to dry, and it's
Yeah, you
very
can't do
hard.
this. You can't be that spontaneous with oil paint. Not and do
Yeah,
that kind of work, because it does. It takes too long, and if you don't wait, then it becomes all muddy, and then you end up having to scrape the paint off, and really then you're literally starting all over. Whereas in this case, sometimes you get some very interesting textures underneath from all the buildup of paint.
right. Yeah. So let me pull up another one. Let's see. There.
Yeah.
Was this a recent one
Uh,
too?
actually, that was a little bit older, but that's from my Human Nature series. So there was a point a few years back where, I do like to draw and paint the human figure, but I didn't want to completely leave my nature series behind and
Uh-huh.
shock everybody by just going to do like nudes or figurative work. So I decided to try to incorporate figures into my landscapes. So I just and I also realize that a lot of times when you look at trees and certain kinds of trees, they kind of look human-like, and so I
Uh-huh.
started to bring that concept out, and I did a series of probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 of these human nature paintings, and uh, they got a lot of attention right away because it was very different, almost surreal. And yeah, I've enjoyed this series, and my collectors have enjoyed putting them on their walls. So it's been great.
Yeah, I love it. I love the colors. I really do. Okay, let's see. We'll pull up another one. All right, let me. Oh, okay. Let me try again. Let me remove this one and see if that helps.
I'm gonna get some water.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, this
Mhm.
is pretty.
Yeah, that's very recent, actually. Yeah, that's probably within the last year. And I do love moving water and streams and waterfalls and that sort of thing in nature. And I'm a big fan of moonlight. And so I kind of put all those elements together in one painting that I think really is emotional.
Yeah, it is. I love it. It's beautiful. Now, are these originals that we're looking at then, or?
Well, I mean, the image is original. That original has probably been sold, but yeah, they're all obviously they all start off as originals,
Right.
and
But do
then
you
we
sell
then
clean
we make
clays?
yeah we make limited editions. We
Okay.
make 10 artist proofs, and then we make an edition of 100 in each series, and yeah, the AP is my embellishment, and then the rest of the 100 are created. The embellishment part of it is created by my assistant.
Okay. It's beautiful. Let's
Yeah,
see.
that one turned out really nicely, I think.
I love the water there.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's see another one.
Yeah, that's another moonlight painting. But this one is
Oh, that's
done. Yeah, this one is done more with my splash technique, which is uh, kind of like pointillism, except the brush doesn't really touch the canvas. So I work on these paintings. I work with the painting in a horizontal position, and I drip paint, sort of like Jackson Pollock, except with a
uh-huh.
purpose. Um, and so, yeah, I've gotten yeah, when we were in that show in New York, one of the paintings that I did was a splash painting like this, and it became one of the most popular ones at the show. And the reason I started the splash paintings, I had been doing prior to that a lot of mosaic style paintings that were real detailed and had a
Uh-huh.
lot of little, like stained glass pieces, and
Uh-huh.
they were very tight to do, and I decided that I needed to kind of take a break and break out of that linear sort of idea and get into something a lot more loose. So I started playing around with this whole splash idea of dripping the paint on the canvas, and trying not to touch the canvas with the brush very much.
See, that's amazing. I mean, I think that's beautiful, and I like the way you do it with the splash technique.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, it's a sort of like a pointillistic approach the Impressionists used to kind of get your eye to bring things together,
Uh
but
huh.
a different technique where it's not so deliberate.
Uh huh. I like that a lot. Let me pull up another one. Oh, this one I love. I remember this one too. This is the
Pirate,
sailboat. I love that.
yeah, we call it the pirate series, or not necessarily pirate boats per se, but just big ships, big sailboats. Um, Gosh, I started a few years back. I had a painting of the ocean, and I really wasn't too satisfied with it. And I decided to add like a little tiny ship on the horizon. And one of my top collectors just scooped it up immediately. And a little bell went off in my head and said, "Wow, people like ships." so, I had a few ocean paintings without ships that I had. I added ships to them, and all of a sudden they became a lot more interesting to people. And then I started doing, a whole series of ship paintings. The more I did, the more detailed they became. The more I learned about how ships were built and all the rigging and all the lines and all the complications of how they worked. And I just took a real deep dive into the mechanics of how ships are put together, and continued to make these what we call pirate series, but they're not necessarily pirate ships.
Yeah, and on your video, I love the water here with the
Mm-hmm.
break of the water, the white. Um, you mentioned how you. It's interesting. You mentioned how you start with the black background because you notice the colors pop,
Yeah,
which is what I've been using a black background in photography with formal gowns and stuff.
yeah,
And for the same reason, when you said that, I said, well, that's cool because that's what I noticed that the colors do pop against the back. So you start with dark and then build out.
right. And the other thing is that if you cover the canvas with a layer of paint, first of all, it's a nice little exercise to warm up. When you're starting to paint, and secondly, then you'll never have a piece of raw canvas that shows through your painting. So even if there's no paint on top of the black paint, it's still black paint, and it kind of works. The black sort of holds everything together.
Yeah,
But you could
I
use
noticed.
red or blue or any number of colors. Well, I just happen to choose a darker shade.
Yeah, but I like it. I love this painting. I really do.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
cool. And it
Yeah,
did remind me
it, it's interesting that both. I initially thought that only men would be interested in these sort of paintings, but it turns out women like them also, and it
oh
must be
yeah,
the sense of adventure that goes along with this pirate ships and that whole era of travel.
yeah. I mean, I think it looks very pirate shippy. I mean, I just I like it. I do. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one I love because I'm a big lover of red too. I love red.
Mm-hmm. There's the moon again. See, moon paintings are great. People love moon paintings, and they love red. And they love red. Red is one of the favorite colors. When I first came on the scene, I was using a lot of red in my paintings, and I almost became like the red painter. It's like I was in danger of being pigeonholed as the red painter, but it still works, and especially in contrast to the cooler colors as a contrast, it really makes it dramatic.
Yeah. I love red. It's a powerful color, and I've got red throughout my home, like accents and stuff. And that's actually what sold me on this painting of the ballerina was her orangey red shoes.
Uh-huh.
And you know, it's just something about red.
But
It's
it's a
just
passionate color.
it is. I love it. Okay, let's pull up another one. Here's some more red.
Oh yeah, Awakening Joy. Yeah, that
Awakening
was
Joy.
that was one of the first paintings that sold out. The whole edition of 110 artist proofs. So that was
It's
a monumental piece for me to have the original cell, 10 artist proof cell, and 100 limited edition cell. That's quite an achievement.
that is. I just love all the colors, and I love, I've never been a yellow person. Like, I don't wear yellow clothes, but I like it in art, in
Right.
paintings and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't like to wear it, but I like it in, I
One
love
look
it
like
in this
Mary.
painting.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
harder to wear.
beautiful.
It's easier to look at in a piece of art because
Yeah,
obviously it represents a warmth and a sunlight. Has a lot of positive
yeah,
representation.
yeah. I love this painting. I love the trees. I really do, and the reflections.
You're out of luck
Okay,
because there
let's
aren't more.
ah, let's see. Now that was the ones that Christy sent me, but there's one that I had picked out that I'd like to show. I don't know. I just love it. I guess it looks Christmassy to me. Let's see if I can go back.
I usually do
See
a
if this,
Christmas painting every year.
and I
Yeah,
think this was two.
Christmassy.
Yeah, yeah. I just love that.
Yeah,
I really do.
I love the challenge of doing a Christmas painting every year and
Uh-huh.
trying to make it unique, and trying to make it different than the previous ones and different than anybody else is doing. Yeah, it's a fun challenge for me every year to come up with something unique and clever.
Yeah.
And
Christmas is
that's
such a fun
yeah,
time.
it's got sort of a semi-patriotic feel to it because
It
of the
is.
stripes and the stars. Yeah,
Yeah. That's what I got.
yeah. I did a whole series of sort of patriotic Christmas themed paintings. Yeah, because
I
who doesn't?
like that. In fact, years ago, I bought a little, I still have it in the other room. I have a small little red Christmas tree, and I just love it. And I never would have thought red on the Christmas tree, but I love it.
Yeah,
Let's
that one.
see. I love that one. I really do.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I have collectors that fight over those paintings.
Do they?
They do. They do. They all want first dibs on the Christmas painting.
Do you still have that one, or yeah, it was on your side, I think.
I don't.
Let me see.
Yeah, probably available as a limited edition, but the originals
Uh-huh.
almost. I'm pretty sure almost every one of them has sold. I have one collector that has probably 10 or 15 of them.
Okay, I wanted to show this one because it was like flowers, which I love. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did a series called Bloomscapes, and that was, I think, Christie's amazing creativity on that title. But so it's flowers that are done in a slightly different way. But who doesn't love flowers? I love flowers.
Oh, I know. I do.
Yeah, I
Love
mean,
them.
it's one of the oldest genres in history. Uh, Flowers and landscapes are the two of the most popular genres in all of art.
They are. And I love the way the background's kind of gold and yellow all mixed together. It's just really pretty. You can see the lighting, how it changes.
Right.
And I think that's what I like about that one. And the shadows.
Yeah.
I love shadows. Like when I do photography, I love shadows. I don't think I would have been a good commercial photographer because
You
I
like
think
to
of a Macy's ad where it's a white background and there's no shadows. It's just,
Yeah, I went through that series. I went through that stage of a lot of shadows in my photography too.
yeah, I don't know. I love the old film noir movies. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
black and white.
Dark,
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
even just any kind of dark setting. I don't know. I tend to like that. I do
yeah,
dramatic. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let me see if there's any more I want to show, and then we'll get back to questions. Let's see if
Okay.
I was gonna see if there was any others that there's. I thought I had another flower. I don't think I've shown this one. If I have, I'm sorry if I have.
No, you haven't shown that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Again, I just love that.
I can't remember the title of that one. I think after several thousand paintings, I can't remember every title.
It doesn't matter. It's beautiful. I just love it.
Thank
I
you.
love the red. The red. I love it when we have red skies. You know, not
Yeah,
even in the evening.
absolutely.
I just
Yeah,
love that. I do. So your work inspires me just as a photographer. You know, I just love.
sure.
I love the colors and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. Now go back. So we talked about your dripping effect, which I know is what artists have influenced you over the years, and
Well,
is there even if it's a photographer, I don't any artist.
well, I'm a big fan of Klimt. You know, the guy that did the Kiss and
Uh huh.
all the Kiss. Yeah, and I loved his use of patterns in some of like the fabrics that he did in some of his portrait work,
Uh
and
huh.
um, I like. I like all of the Impressionists and the Expressionists. You know, I'm a big fan of the Impressionists, Monet, all of them, Van Gogh. I mean, I love Van Gogh's, you know, thick paint and bold strokes.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah, yeah, those are two of my top ones.
Yeah.
Well, Surratt was the one that did like the pointillism. So Surratt was known for his pointillism. You know, the luncheon on the grass.
Uh huh.
And yeah, I could probably go into, you know, I mean, there's something to learn from all of them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. But I like Monet and I like Van Gogh. They've been having some kind of big thing not far from here. I think it's a expedition of Van Gogh, but it's must be
Oh,
projected.
oh, the experience. Yeah, the Van Gogh
Yeah, yeah,
experience. Yeah, we
yeah.
did. We went to one of those here in Atlanta too. That was a lot of fun.
Was it nice? Did
Yeah,
you?
really fun. Yeah,
Okay.
really neat.
Yeah. So it's been 25 years since you made the transition to this from photographer to artist, which I can't believe.
Time
If
flies.
I know you don't look. I don't know how old you are, but I'm guessing by what your bio says, you don't look your age at all.
I'll be 75 in a couple of weeks.
That's what I thought. But if I said that and I was wrong or misunderstood, that
Yeah.
blows me away. I would have thought you were in your 50. You know, when I read your bio, I said, no way.
You know what they say about stress making you old is correct, and I have a rather stress-free life, especially in
Yeah,
the last 30 years.
yeah. That's wonderful, though. And so, what would you say that you've learned most about your career and about yourself through all that you've done?
Well, I think perseverance is important. You have to have the discipline. If you really want something, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to take some risk. Um, it helps to have a great partner in your life.
Uh-huh.
Helps a lot. Um, the other, I mean, you just if you really have a dream, you just have to. You can't quit. You really have to give it all. And oh yeah, I know. One of my favorite quotes. I don't know who actually said it, but I use it a lot of times. Is somebody said when speaking about how hard it is to make it in art, that they said inspiration is for amateurs. The people who say they're waiting to be inspired before they can paint something,
Mm-hmm.
well, they're never going to amount to anything.
No.
The people that end up doing things are the ones that go to work every day and start, whether it's typing something on a typewriter or a word processor. If you're
Uh-huh.
doing a novel, just start writing. And if you're
Yeah.
doing painting, if you're trying to be a painter, just start painting. And the process of painting or writing or anything creative will lead itself. Like if you're in the music business, start doodling around with chords and lyrics, and sooner or later. But if you sit around and wait till you get a dream in the middle of the night that's going to give you the lyrics, um, you're not going to be successful.
Right. I agree with that. You
Yeah, go
do.
get to
How
work.
did have you handled? Some people hate it when I ask this question, but I like to ask it because I think it does help people. If you ever have times where you go through a period where you're feeling not creative or uninspired, how do you get through that? Maybe you've
Uh,
never had
no, every creative person obviously has their dry periods, you might say, or just at times when they just don't feel as creative. Um, I think go for a walk in the woods. Especially if you're a landscape painter. I mean, you get creative. If you paint people, go out and mingle with people. Just don't sit in a dark place and think about it too long. You need to get out and get exposed uh, to ideas, to inspiration. Like I said, or you just need to get to work and try to work your way through the block.
it. Yeah.
You know, you, you
Yeah.
can't wallow in the block.
No, I know.
You just
And
gotta
what?
persevere.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice, though.
Yeah.
And what
Go
in
have
his,
a glass of wine.
yeah. Well, what in or who inspires you today to keep going forward?
Hmm. Well, my wife inspires me to keep going forward. We have a great life, and I'd like to continue it. And my health inspires it because I'm healthy, and I think it's because of painting and the lifestyle that comes with it. Um, my children, my grandchildren, I want to leave a legacy. That someday, you never know, that could be worth something, and they could be
Yeah.
proud of it. Yeah.
Did you ever have a mentor throughout your life and
Well, in
someone
in my photography, yeah,
you did? Yeah.
my partner was my mentor in photography. No question about it. Yeah,
Right.
he took me under his wing and he taught me, and and I grew the business to become a really big business. So yeah, I mean, every once in a while you get lucky.
Yeah.
A door opens, you got to make sure you walk through it.
Right. Yeah. Have you had a mentor when you started getting heavily into painting or?
No, not really. No, I mean, I didn't really know too many painters back then when I first started. Um, I met some when we started doing business, and we would be in the same galleries together. So I know a lot of painters now, and we all try to support each other, and inspire each other to, even if there's a slight bit of competition, that's good, to have a little competition.
Yeah.
Makes it better.
Yeah, it does. It does. Um, so this is a question. This is out of curiosity. Do you have any concerns over the art industry in general, not just as a painter, but in general with all this emergence of AI and digital, like, do
Sure.
you think we're losing?
Yes.
I guess I have this fear that we're losing art, but that's coming from a
Mhm.
photographer's point of view. I'm not a painter.
Right. It's definitely going to be challenging. I mean, what AI can do in the way of a visual representation and film and well, just about every job on Earth it's awesome, and it's also scary. Um, I think that unfortunately, young people are going to be dissuaded from pursuing art because they will not think they can make a living at it, and which is probably true. Um, so there will not be very many painters in the future that are educated painters. Um, on the other hand, there may be a lot of people out of work who take up painting as a hobby once they get their universal basic income, and without getting too political, but I think there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands, and
Yeah.
and I think that they will take up hobbies, and one of them will probably be art, and a lot of it is going to be junk and terrible, and every once in a while something good is going to come out of that. And I think in the future, having a piece of man-made art is going to be a status symbol. It's going to be rare, and it's going to be valuable. So those of us who are already in the business and already have created, quite the archive of work,
Uh-huh.
are in a pretty good position to be the last human painters of significance on this planet, and that might be a good thing. If our work becomes rare and status symbol, then obviously it'll be more valuable. And people coming up behind us won't have any education, they won't have any mentors, and they won't. Every once in a while, somebody will get lucky, lightning will strike, and somebody may become, really talented artists on their own with no education and no training. Um, but a lot of it will be junk. But people will at least have a hobby. They'll do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's same thing with music, the same thing is true of music and AI and music. Same exact thing is happening.
It is. It
So
really is.
we will see. It's a brave new world, and we will see what happens. Sometimes AI can be helpful. I mean, you can uh, use it to critique things. You can use it to explain things. I mean, it's if you use it to your benefit, it could be a positive outcome.
Right. I think what I miss in movies is I like the old real live action that we had in the, like, cars crashing and all. Now everything's so,
Yeah.
I guess what
I
I'd
don't
say
know.
over.
They're doing pretty realistic things with AI in film these days. So
Yeah.
I'd be concerned if I was a film director also.
I would too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's,
okay.
there's a lot. It's happening fast. So we're going to hold on.
I know, we really do. What advice would you give to an upcoming artist today? Because that may help them get started. Um,
Um,
even
I mean, if they are already pursuing art and they've either been educated or they've gotten to a level where they're pretty competent and they can paint whatever they want to, um, the opportunity for exposure for artists is greater than it's ever been, in the history of art. I mean, people can see art everywhere.
Yeah.
Online, they can go to museums, they can go to galleries, it's really, the exposure for art is tremendous. So a young artist obviously has to be very savvy technically to be able to get that exposure, get his work in front of eyeballs, and then hope for the best. Hope that he hits a chord with somebody, and somehow their work appeals to a mass of people. And do something unique that helps you stand out.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, because AI does some pretty amazing things, but like I said, it's still a machine. And like I said, eventually people will get tired of machine stuff and they'll want human stuff.
Yeah, I like the human stuff.
They can afford it. Yeah.
I do.
Like I said, I think it's going to be a rare thing and a status symbol. And I think, it could be a real positive outcome for some of us that have already been in it for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's good news, I think.
Yeah, I'm taking an optimistic approach.
Well, that helps. I like that. I do. Well, I want to thank you today for being here. I really do love your work,
Thank you.
and I've enjoyed listening to you talk and spending a little time with you and your work. It's so unique and beautiful, and I know you're going to keep moving forward. And I'm glad you're healthy, because that means you're going to keep hanging around.
I keep trying. I keep trying to get better every day.
That's good. Is there anything that you want to announce or mention that we didn't talk about, or?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, it just happened today.
Good.
We have rekindled our relationship with our favorite gallery out in Lake Tahoe, called Marcus Ashley Gallery in Lake Tahoe near Heavenly Ski Resort. They are one of the top galleries in the country, and we will be showing at that gallery starting this spring. And we'll be doing a show hopefully next summer out there in person. So we're really excited about that. And I'm sorry, I had a little side note. And we have a gallery in Raleigh that we've talked about, and I think you know about them. And we've been with them for 20 years, and we see them at least annually, if not biannually. And we've developed a lot of collectors in that area of North Carolina. So
that's Ashley's art.
Yeah, fine art. Yes.
Yeah.
We've been with them for 20 years now. So that's a great relationship, and it's wonderful.
That's great. I'm glad he's the one that told me about you, the owner, and I'm glad he did. And yeah, so I'm sure I'm gonna stay in touch with him. I'm gonna stay in touch with you guys. I guess I'll make sure. I think I am on your mailing list. If not, I'll make sure I get on there, because I'd like to keep updated about what's going on in Lake Tahoe when you get there.
Sure.
So yeah, that's exciting. I want to thank my viewers for being here today, and make sure that you share the replay of this. You can visit Ford's site at www.fordsmithfineart.com. He's got a beautiful website. And share the replay. Join me soon with another interview. I'm going to be interviewing a pastor, which I've never interviewed a pastor before, Pastor Matt Smith from Greensboro. So that's going to be fun. To your own success and to the upcoming holidays, wishing you much fun, much success, and take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.